You got chocolate, one more kind of hottest. Got everything I want and need. I'm blowing your mind. A marvelous creation. I'm tasting so good. I'm one of a kind. I'm playing with your patience. You know that I should. Let's go. 'Cause I'll be in a dream, in a sweet fantasy, and I'll be feeling so good. And if you wanna sing to my melody and have a little try tonight. Taste of something so sweet on the tip of your tongue. I'm sweet like chocolate. I'll be your little treat. I can melt in the sun. I'm sweet like chocolate. Sweet like chocolate. Sweet like chocolate. Yeah, you know the pressure's on. Know you like when I sing this song. I'm the queen and you like King Kong. I know I can type you. Stuck in your teeth, got what you need. Boy, you addicted to me. I'm in a wild limousine. Yeah, you be cruising with me. 'Cause I'll be in a dream, in a sweet fantasy, and I'll be feeling so good. And if you wanna sing to my melody and have a little try tonight. Taste of something so sweet on the tip of your tongue. I'm sweet like chocolate. I'll be your little treat. I can melt in the sun. I'm sweet like chocolate. Sweet like chocolate. Sweet like chocolate. I'm sweet like chocolate, like sugar on your lips. A taste you can't forget. No, you can't forget. Take a bite, take a bite, take a bite. Every day, every night. What you like, what you like, what you like? I'll bring all the flavors. Taste of something so sweet on the tip of your tongue. I'm sweet like chocolate. I'll be your little treat. I can melt in the sun. I'm sweet like chocolate. Sweet like chocolate. Sweet like chocolate.
Hey boy, don't worry anything tonight. I'll be there like Everything's gonna be alright.
눈을 뗄 수가 없어. 너와 나의 이클립스. 내 눈에만 보이던 너. 손댈 수 없이 위험했던 Ooh boy. 내 맘도 너에게 자꾸 더 끌려. 사랑이 뭐가 뭔지 A to D. 아직도 몰라 그냥 너에게 빠져있고 싶어. 너를 향해 마냥 조르고 싶은 맘. 네가 좋아 난 내 생각은 전부 너로 가득. Baby I'm full. 점점 뜨겁고 점점 머물러. 점점 다가가 심장이 뛰어. 어떻게 나야도 이런 내 맘. 먼저 고백할래. 어젯밤처럼 all night. 이런 내 맘이 그저 내 맘이 가는 곳 네가 있는 난 거기에 점점 가까이 점점 내 곁에 점점 다가가 심장이 뛰어
Yo, sound check. Sound check, sound check, sound check. Ayun. Ayun, hello sa inyo lahat and kay Lea nandito sa busy ngayon. Another stream na naman. 3 back-to-back streams na tayo, Leon. 3 back-to-back streams. Pero 2 back-to-back streams na gabi. Siyempre. 3 back-to-back streams. Pero 2 back-to-back streams ngayong gabi. So, nagsimula ako mag-stream ng gabi. Yes, kung di ako nagkakamali kahapon. For the part 2 ng comeback stream natin. Ha? Ano? The other day, ayun, wait lang. Anayin ko lang yung volume ng yan, perfect. So let's go na sa ating just chatting screen natin. Ayun. Oy, o nga pala, may new PNGtuber form reveal ako ngayon. Ewan ko kung nakikita mo sa stream. Wait lang, pakita ko lang ng bahagya. Medyo di pa siya pulido. Ayusin ko pa yung kulay. Kaka-drawing ko lang nito kanina or kaka-work ka lang dito sa kanina sa PNG ko. And here we go. As you can see, kapag nagsasalita ako, tingnan mo yung mga parts transparent. Ayusin ko pa yung kulay. Tingnan mo. Kung nakikita mo ngayon, transparent na yung mata, pati yung sa balikat, pati yung sa iba pang parts. So, ayusin ko pa yan. So, that's not the official color yet. Pero, yan na yun. May ayusin pa ako. Nakikita mo yung apoy dyan sa parang, exhaust pipe sa, mask. Yung sa exhaust pipes. Imbis na ganyan gagawin ko siguro parang hangin. Kasi ang element kasi ng form na to is wind. Wind kasi yung element nito. Wind. So, ang bala ko kasi, yung mga PNGtuber ko based from the elements, basic elements. Gets mo ako? Or pwede naman, may mga special forms ako based sa K-pop idol na bias ko. For example, yung form ko based kay Ham, 'di ba? Hamster. 'Di ba? Yan, gets mo. Anyways, balik ko na sa dati kasi hindi pa siya pulido. Ayan. Anyways, yung ila-live react pala natin ngayon is 4 siya. Namely, yung ewan ko ano English title. Ito yung kanta niya na ang title, Being a Good Girl Hurts. Pangalawa naman is, I haven't listened to this one, Girls Will Be Girls ng ITZY. Lips, Hips, Kiss. Di ko pa napapakinggan to, yung Lips, Hips, Kiss. And yung Sunny Vibe, alam ko di ba pa napapakinggan to. Yung Sunny Vibe, one take performance lang yan. So, hinaan ko muna yung volume sa Spotify. Yan. Excuse me. Musta naman tayo dyan? Musta naman ang araw natin dyan, guys? So, musta ang araw natin, Leon? Musta yung K-pop news? Anong balita? May may bago or anything? Issue? Na naman bago. Ayun nga. Katulad na nga sa pinost ko sa sa Discord. Unfortunately, Chaeyoung ng F9 won't be participating. Wow. Sa daig pa yung injury niya. So yun. Get well sa kanya. Get well sa kanya. So yun. Grabe yung Ay, oo nga pala, happy birthday nga pala kay Kwangil, ang ating dakilang drummer ng Lucy. Currently nagsaserve siya sa military service. So, I believe next year ang labas niya, no? Next year siguro labas niyan for sure. Ayan. And may papakita ako sa iyo. Wait, sa X website. This is day 6. Grabe, nag-ano na siya ng earphones? Pakita ko nga on stream. Pakita ko lang on stream. Ay, shit, teka. Pakita ko lang on stream. Anong Kwangil? Wonsang pala. Niloko mo naman ako. Pakita. Let's go. Ayan. And yung comeback schedule there, before the release and after the release, check natin. Yan. So, starting August 20, concept photo, or 18 pala, sorry, track this. Ilang kayong kanta tingin mo? Sa tingin mo lang, ilang kanta ng day 6? Ako, ang prediction ko lang dito, kung ilang kanta nila, 10. Alam mo yan. Prediction lang naman. Hindi naman tayo na-expect or whatsoever. Prediction lang. Sige. Bigyan kita ng credits dito sa Eugene. Pag nagkamali ako. Anyways, August 18 agad, practice agad ang makukuha natin. Track preview film. Uy, wow. Kasunod ng track preview film. Maganda yan. 20, sunod-sunod, okay. So, si Songjin, Young K, Wonpil, Dowon, and Bong or OT4 from 20 to 24. Puro concept photo 1 yan. So, 25, 26, mga unit concept photo, number 2. And 27, ito na yung group. And we got track 2? Wait! Wag mo sabing dalawa title track nila dito. Track 2 eh. Tingnan mo, track 2. Kung nakikita mo, track 2, track 1. Wait lang. Okay, pakita ko na nga yung Di ko pala na screen share para di ka na tumingin sa stream ko. Sorry. Ayan, so yun nga. Tingin ko lang double title track to. Sa tingin ko lang pero like you said, who knows, diba? And sa 30 hanggang 31, wow, Day 6 10th Anniversary Tour. September 1 is Day 6 is 10 teaser. September 1, 6-7 ng gabi, Day 6 is 10 teaser. And after ng 3 hours, 10th Anniversary Medley Live. September 2, 10th Anniversary Documentary Teaser. Then we've got Wednesday, Album Sampler. Ito na yon, yung may vocals na. September 4, Track 2, MV Teaser 2. Wait, mostly Track 2 Track 2. And September 5, ito na yon. Comeback Live and Track to MB. Ito yung before the release, comeback schedule. You schedule there. Next naman is my after release. September 5, ito na yon. Tapos na tayo dyan. September 6, track 1 magkasunod na MB release to. Okay, I think tama tayo. Dalawang MB. Track 1. Una muna yung second track bago yung track 1. So, dito sa September 5, track number 2. Then, September 6, track 1. September 7, ito na yung 10th anniversary special live, Day 610, episode 1. September 8, track 2, live clip. September 9, 10th anniversary documentary. Ito na yon. Ito yung hinihintay nila ng mga My Days. Track 1 live clip, September 10. So, 2 days after, track 10. Another MB na naman! Another MB na naman, track 10. Tatlo! No way! Oo nga, they're cooking hard. Happy anniversary, happy 1 decade sa inyo, Day 6. Tingnan mo, track 10 talaga, yung pang 10 na track. No kaya mga tatlong title tracks na yun, no? We'll find out sa unang araw. Or maybe unang araw ng September, or no, August 18. Today is August 15, which means Monday. Kung di ako nagkakamali. Tama ba, Monday? 18 pala, sorry. Tama, no? Wait, check ko lang Mali. Ay, tama. Monday nga. So, yan. And yung... ito may behind the scenes pa. Itong fan meeting, no? Pier 10. Tapos, saan yun? Check natin sa media. Ito yung album preview. Ito. So, what do we have here? Ito yung kay Songjin, kulay pula. Uy, bias kasi po Songjin. So, pwede sa akin to. Kaso mahal. Like you said, mahal nga. So, we got the outbox. We got... I know. Kumalma ka. So, in-ear. Kaso Type-C siya. So, in-ear earphones. We got the ear tips. Of course. PVC pouch. Meron photo card. Random 2 out of 4. Wow. Galante. 2 photo cards. Then, sound paper. So, this is the sound paper, no? Ayan, yung mga ganito, para may pa-curve na earphones, ganyan. Usually, yung mga ginagamit ng mga idols, even mga musicians, kahit mga DJs din. So, what do we have here? Anong mga kulay ng mga ibang, this... This is Young K, kulay green. And si Wampil... dilaw. Ay, hindi. Blue pala kay Wampil. Ano ba kulay kay Young K? White. Blue kay Wampil. And kay Dowon, ano kulay sa kanya? Wow! Hindi! Magkaiba. The, light blue and white or transparent. Wow. NMix. Meron ba sa NMix ganito rin? Oh, custom. Okay. Okay. Let's go dito sa ano. Sa Nemo version, 6 on the dice version, City Days version. Sa dice yung concept nila dito. We got the sticker set. We got the package, QR card, sticker set, photo card. So, ilang photo card ang makukuha? Ay, hindi. Isang set siya. Isang set siya. Check natin tong pangalawa. So, this is the Nemo version. Same thing. So, makaiba lang ng design. Kulay gold. I love this one. Then, this one. So, ito yung standard version. 6 on the dice at saka City Days. Meron tayong outbox, photobook, CDR, postcard. So, is 1 out of 4. Message photo 1 out of 4. Photo card, random 2 out of 8. Original ticket, random 1 of 4. Folding poster, 1 out of 4. For the pre-orders naman, kapag nag-pre-order ka, may stamp sticker ka and the 4-cut photo. So, 1 out of 4 siya. So, ito yung itsura. Original ticket, no? It depends kung sino member. Oh my God, ginawa talaga playing cards, no? Yung photo card, tingnan mo. So, ano nga natin? Ginawang playing cards ba naman? So, yung kay Songjin is, hearts. Hindi, spade to. Kay Diamonds, kay Wompil Heart. Siyempre, yung tattoo niya sa sa daliri. Alam ko di mo pa nakita yun. Pero meron siya nun. Sa yun sa may middle ata? Middle or ring finger. Basta yun. Search mo na lang. So, kay Dowen is flower. So, ito yung stamp sticker. Okay. For the pre-order lang yan. Ay, tapos na tayo dyan. So, ano pa? So, ito yung what version is this? City Days. So, black and white and gold or wash na yellow or khaki color, whatever. So, yan siya. Ganda ng packaging, not gonna lie. So, ayun lang. Yun lang naman. Oy, 17 mention. Got 7 and City Dream. So, ayun. When kaya... Yun ang No, di like I said, di ako sa boy groups. So, when kaya ang cherry PNG mo? Sorry na. Balik tayo sa yapping natin session. Anyways, siguro, let's go straight to the business. Na tayo. So, ang ating agenda ngayon, of course, ang ating agenda is i-live react natin tong 4 na songs. What? Ay, kala ko nawala. So we got Yena's Being a Good Girl Hurts. Meron tayong Girls Will Be Girls. Wow, konektado. What are the ads? Konektado. So, itong title track ni Yena, Being a Good Girl Hurts. Tapos yung ITZY naman, Girls Will Be Girls. Parang connected. De joke lang. So, next naman is Kiss of Life. Lips, Hips, Kiss. Nako. May ina-expect pang hater tong Kiev kasi alam mo naman yung nangyari sa during birthday ni Judy, di ba? Ayoko na lang pag-usapan yon. Alam mo yan, di yun. During birthday niya, if you remember, I don't want to talk about that. Kasi, matitrigger lang yung mga black people dyan na, alam mo na, ayoko na. Okay, pause na natin tong music. Yung natin. Kita mo ba? Kita mo ba sa Discord? Sa Discord? Alam ko. Dilipat kasi tayo doon. So, set ko muna habang naka-studio mode. Ayun, okay na siya. Alright, so let's do it. Ang una natin i-live react is none other than Yena's Being a Good Girl Hurts. It's been a while since nakapakinig ako nung Yena. Since siguro Good Morning. Tapos, Smartphone. Yun yung pinapakinggan ko nun. Tapos, Nemo Nemo. Malamang sa alamang. Patok na patok sa panlasa ko yan. So, anyways. Looks like ready ang lahat. At si Yon ready na rin yan. So, let's start off with Yena's Being a Good Girl Hurts. Yun, nag-buff. Hot chocolate po kayo dyan, master. Guys, malamig ang panahon ngayon. Dapat umano kayo ng mainit na sabaw. Ba't parang katulog ng neirong... Wait a second. Wait. Yung sa QWER, katunog? Neirong malgam. Diba? Yun... Ha? Oh, and kita ko yung chat mo dito. So, merry-go-round. Kanino merry-go-round? KJ? KH? Sige, we're gonna do that after. I mean... Okay, this... Another cute na kanta na naman bukod sa Nemo Nemo. Yung vocals lang ni Yena, shit eh. Ay, oo, naririnig ko to. Siguro mostly naririnig ko to sa Instagram account ang pangalan Yena Core. Di mo pa na yan kasi alam mo naman di ka tambay sa Insta. At saka nag-deactivate ka, tama ba ako? Ay, deactivate naging inactive ka pala, sorry. Basta yun, Yena Core on Instagram. Doon mo pinopost yung mga mga collabs. Including QWER and Yen ng Triple S. Sana mag-collab pa rin tong si Yen sa mga Triple S members. Some of Triple S members siyempre. This one sa MV na to, hinaluan pa ng manhwa stuff or something may reference sa manhwa. If you ever read na manhwa, Leon, I don't know if you read manhwa. Dito sa vibe ng song na to, it's more like manhwa-ish. If you get what I mean. Ayun, that was Being a Good Girl Hurts ni Yena. Alam mo, pwede kumanta si Yena ng OST ng isang manhwa. Kasi bagay na bagay yung vocals niya sa ano, sa mga manhwa OST. Get what I mean? 'Di ba? So, ayun. So far, ang thoughts ko para sa song na to, like I said, wait lang, nagpe-play, nagpe-play agad. Yan. Like I said, bagay na bagay siya sa manhwa OSTs. Yun lang naman masasabi ko. Sa vocals niya, and sa vibe na pinapakita niya dito sa MV Vice, and talagang hinaluan nila ng manhwa. Kung sino man kung sino man nag-isip nitong gantong concept, I'm gonna give you props for that. I'm gonna give you props for that one. And speaking of props, sunod na natin yung Girls Will Be Girls ng ITZY. I haven't listened to this one. Baka isipin nyo, if you're thinking I'm lying, then go ask again. So this will be the second one. ITZY, Girls Will Be Girls. Very good, Dion. Thank you. Thank you sa pagban ng mga ano na yan. It's been a while since nagkaroon tayo ng OT5 comeback, no? Or maybe na. Na-miss ko today, ITZY. Short hair Yeji, holy heck. Nako, Leah. Namimiss ko si Leah. Magkano budget ng JYP dito sa gantong klaseng quality na MV na to? Andiyan ka sa location pa? And the outfits. And the drip master. This reminds me, doon sa location na yan, this kinda reminds me sa ano ba to? Hiya ka muna mag-isip. Parang Indiana Jones, mga ganon. Or zombie apocalypse, something like that. Mamaya ano yun ka lang. I'm yapping too much. Okay, the drop. The drop and konting dance break. Okay, I'll give you that, guys. Cheryong, oh. Cheryong, oh. Cheryong, oh. That was Girls Will Be Girls. Okay. Ano ko yung thoughts ko rito? I'm gathering thoughts pa kasi during this one eh. Kasi this reminds me kasi around mga zombie apocalypse na vibe sa location na yun. Or kaya parang Indiana Jones. Alam mo yun, Indiana Jones? Ba yan? Ayun, parang ganon. And this reminds me something. Wait lang yung mga gantong vibes. So, magkano kaya naging budget nila sa na to, MV? Pero music-wise pala. Pakinggan ulit natin ng konti. I like the one na sa drop. Wait lang. check na natin sa drop. Sa drop, I like the drop. Pag drop pa lang din, onting dance break dito sa Bagya. And one more thing, this is more like a survival like of concept. Yun, like I said, kakasabi ko lang kanina. Wait lang, hindi ko maano yung drop eh. Hindi ko mahanap. Ayun. This is the drop that I'm looking for. Then sa dance break na to. The drop's looking for, not gonna lie. So yun lang naman hinahanap ko. I like the drop, I like the concept na para bang survival like, or like I said, Indiana Jones or what, nalimutan ko isa. And all in all, their drips looking great. They're looking great in black as well sa red one. Basta ito, mas suitable sa kanila to. In my opinion, mas suitable sa kanila tong gantong kind of clothes or drip sa performance nila. That's pretty much about it. So, next one, moving on, KPOP, Kiss of Life. So, lips, hips, kiss. Namiss ko yung Kiss of Life. What the heck? Oh, next stream na lang yung inaano mo, sinasuggest sa chat. What is this? Okay, the intro. Iba na bias ko dito sa Kiss of Life. Si Hanul na. Who's this? Si Belle? Oh, no, I think si Judy. Si Judy nga. Pareho kasi buhok nila dito sa ano na to. Di ko to din mamukha kasi si Judy ba yan? Okay, R&B like. R&B like na genre, okay. Guys, if you're watching right now just to hate Kiss of Life, then don't ever come back here. If you're hating Kiss of Life, then I'm gonna kick your ass here. Flop, what the wait? I'm not sure this is flop, but I'm liking it. I'm a fan of R&B. If you think I'm lying, then shut the hell up. Just because you're hating because of Julie's action during her birthday, then move on. Mag-move on na kayo. Past is past. Tapos, binabalik niyo pa yung nakaraan. Naghahanap lang kayo ng gulo. Not gonna lie. Okay, Nati. Nag-ano yung wifi. Na, are we back na sa stream? Paki-check. Okay. Alright. Kinabahan ako. Kinabahan ako. Pero yun nga, that was Kiss of Lips. Lips, Kiss. Dude! R&B! R&B type naman yung comeback nila dito sa sa Lips, Hips, Kiss na to. I'm a big fan of that genre. And dito pala sa simula. Wait lang. Ewan kung nakikita mo. No, not this. Hindi, pagka ano pala ng drop. I'm expecting na parang upbeat, konting upbeat, pero no. Pero narinig ko na to. I'm expecting to be R&B. Dito sa sa chorus part. So vocals pa lang I can tell na. Ayun. Expected to be R&B na talaga. Wow. So far I'm a big fan of R&B and this one is far. Speaking ng K-pop of napanood ko na yung Sticky of Com. Napanood ko na siya off cam. So, yep. Well, all in all, itong Lips, Hips, Kiss, patok na patok sa akin to. Add ko na to sa playlist as well yung Girls Baby Girls at yung na kani-kanina lang. So, and yep, pwede mo siya pa. And, ikaw naman yun dito sa last part. Sunny Key Vibe. Alam kong di mo pa na to. Ikaw naman. So, let's go with the Sunny Key Vibe. Nawala? Ay, sorry. O nga pala, nag-reconnect pala automatically. Sorry. My bad. Yan. Ang gamit ko kasi na ano ba to? Wi-Fi Bluetooth dongle gamit ko rito sa PC ko. Bira lang kasi magsumpungin to pero okay lang. Medyo malakas din naman. Sabi ko next time yung sa chat suggest mo. Ano yung isa na yun? Dux Bio. Welcome into the stream, Dux Bio. My favorite Kamen Rider? You know where it is. Kamen Rider Decade. May pagyap muna tayo. So, mamaya muna. Merry-go-round Pumpy. Pwede paki-ano na lang sa sa live sa text channel para maano ko. Salamat. Anyways, balik muna tayo sa chat Dux Bio, it's Kamen Rider Decade. It's Kamen Rider Decade. He's my favorite rider after all. So, muna tayo? Mag-break muna tayo ng konti sa Then, babalik na tayo doon sa So yeah, welcome to the stream, Dux Bio. Welcome in.
Patay!
Mali.
Welcome into the stream!
Yes. Yes, Dux Bio. Decade is my favorite. And this is my new form, by the way. Actually, it's not yet finished. Yo, chill, bro. Yo, I'm chill. Don't worry. Come on. It's Kamen Rider Decade. He's my favorite. Then second one will be Geats. Kamen Rider Geats. Maybe the third one. I think my new favorite rider at this point it's Kamen Rider Zetsu. kind of like the suit. I mean, if have you saw the have you saw Kamen Rider Z's docs? If you haven't saw it, I can show it. Or if you haven't, or if you already saw it, then yeah, Kamen Rider Zetsu. Okay. Yap muna ako saglit diyan. Pwede ko muna mag-off mic muna. So, habang nag-ano tayo. So, konting break muna tayo. So, yeah. Zets. So, this is our main characters. This is our main character. This is our main character. Oh, wait. I should bring back the my default form. There you go. So, this is our main character. So, it's Bakuyorozu, our secret agent. Our secret agent who infiltrates dreams. It's Bakuyorozu. So, portrayed by Ryotaro Imai. And this is Kamen Rider Zetsu. And he's the first rider who wear... Thank you for the rhythm. You only like Heisei riders? Oh. You never watch any Reiwa riders? Even 01, Saber, Revise, Geats, Gotchard, Gabu, even this one. Not gonna lie, 01 is a good series. It was written by Yuya Takahashi, who's also the one who wrote Kamen Rider Xaid. If I'm not mistaken, Yuya Takahashi, the one who wrote Xaid. So okay, let me list down Yuya Takahashi's works. First one will be Kamen Rider Xaid. Second one is 01. 3 or something. 3. Is it B3? Oh, you haven't? Oh, you haven't seen any of those in this year? Okay. So you mean... Alright. You watch X8, right? So if you don't know, Kamen Rider X8's writer is Yuya Takahashi. Another works of Yuya Takahashi is 01. 3 coins? It was Kamen Rider O's. You know O's, right, Docs? I know you're the Heisei guy, right? I'm also a fan of Heisei riders too. I watch a couple of Heisei ones. We've got Kamen Rider Blade, Hibiki. I do watch Decade, of course. Decade Double, O's, Wizard. I already watched Wizard. Forze, Drive, Zio, Build. Those are... Or X8. I watch X8 too. I heard a lot of bad... You got full Kamen Rider double in... Double? Wait. Don't you say you got the double driver? You got the CSM 2 version 2? Wizard, is that with music weapon? No. It's Hibiki, bro. It's Hibiki. It's Hibiki. If you're talking about music, it's Hibiki. It's Hibiki. Where's Hibiki? This one. Kuga. Yeah, Kuga is the first rider in Heisei era. Just DX because you don't have a lot of money. Yeah. DX is enough to... Oh, speaking of DX, I got DX Meteor Driver. Do you know Meteor Driver? Like, Meteor Driver from Kamen Rider Forze. I also got Decade Driver, but it's kind of broken. Fang CSM version. Bro, I thought you only buy DX, right? No, there's no way you got Fang. But if you want to send something, you can go to our Discord and stuff. We're not just DX for full memory in the driver. Then you got a couple of CSM ones, version 2. What about Lost Driver? Do you have Lost Driver? You got the Dopan memory. What else do we got? Oh yeah. What about Eternal Edge? What else do we got? Eternal Edge, Trigger Magnum, Metal Shop. CSM is given to me by my. Wow, you're lucky ass. You're lucky ass, Ducks. You're lucky as hell. CSM Fang version 2? What the heck? Anyway, we're not just a K-pop fans, but we're also fan of Kamen Rider 2, especially to myself. I admit that I haven't watched all of them. Even I haven't watched any Kamen Riders from Showa era, from the 90s. Like, you know, Ichigo, Nigo, V3, Riderman. You're actually so cheap by your name. So you're saying that your neighbor sold that CSM to you in a cheaper price? You're lucky. You're lucky, bro. You got your neighbor with the CSM stuff? But yeah, I guess we're gonna go back to our usual K-pop live reaction, Leon. Balik na tayo. Masyado na tayo nagyayap about Kamen Rider and stuff. So, we're gonna go back. So, balik tayo doon sa ating usual na. So, ikaw naman ang magbibigay ng thoughts sa song na to. Ang title nito, Saniki Vibe. Later on, we're gonna add that.
Okay. Bless again.
Ikaw naman magbibigay ng thoughts dito. But yeah, Docs, thank you so much for tuning in and thank you so much for the first time chat. Yes, because... Oh, I see. He's in depth. I mean, at least you help him, right? That's the most important thing. You helped him. Actually, Docs, we're currently doing a K-pop live reaction here. Like, I usually do this with my partner here, Leon, Red Leon 23. If you're seeing in the chat right now, he's your guy when it comes to K-pop. He used to be a anime guy and whatsoever. Right now, look at him right now. He's addicted to some K-pop stuff, especially the N-Mix. And even Triple S, which thanks to myself that I convinced this guy to be a wave. And he's tempted to be a Soyeon main. Not Soyeon, not Ham Ham, it's Soyeon. S14. Okay, let's go back sa Saniki. Okay, we got the drum solo here. Maya-maya papasok na dyan si Juyon. Yan. Pwede, alam mo, pwede nila pang intro to. Pang intro to sa mga concerts.
Yeah.
Mamaya, kukunin ko yung thoughts ba about dito sa song na to. Wow. Thoughts?
Then, um, um, it it reminds me alam mo um, yung mga performance about sa mga restaurant or something.
Ay, sa mga bars, ganon.
Yeah, something gano'n. Yeah, something gano'n. It reminds me gano'n. Like there, the music video.
Okay, so add ko na to. What's the other one?
Yun lang. Actually, yun lang.
Yun na naman. Okay. Okay, as you
Yeah.
wish. Pero bago muna tayo pumunta doon, no? So, bago muna tayo pumunta kay Jay, mag-check muna tayo ng comeback. Siyempre, as usual, lagi natin gagawin yan. So, 2025 na So, tingnan natin kung may nabago pa. So, tingnan natin kung may nabago. O kung may mga in-announce pa or whatsoever. Excuse me. Excuse me. As you can tell, so sa kauna-una araw, syempre, ZB1 agad. CB1 agad ang matutunghayan natin this first day of September alongside Treasure with their third mini album Love Pulse. Kasabayan nila ang Monsta X with their mini album The X, as well as NCT Wish. So August 12 nakapag-pre-release na sila. September 1 will be their album release with their third mini album Color. We got June K ng 2 p.m. Another one of the JYP artists. Fourth mini album Dear My Muse. And we got ID for the Japanese single Tokyo Tomare. September 5, makakasabay ng aespa ang Day 6. So aespa with their 6 mini album Richman. Actually, ang daming backlash dito sa ano na to. Pero ayoko na sabihin. So Day 6,
Oh?
may backlash daw eh.
Oh.
Pero Day 6, mas inaabangan natin. They're cooking hard for this. So wala pang nilagay dito. So we've got CIX. Momolan, makakambak na daw.
Ay.
Like, it's been 3 years. 3 years ba nung nag-ano sila? I forgot kung saan sila company dati, pero ayun. Genie ng Secret Number, hindi Genie ng NMIX. September 12, syempre si Chaeyoung with her first solo debut album, Lil Fancy Volume 1. Okay. FT Island, Japanese album. 80s, Japanese second full album. What else do we got? Ba may iba pang in-announce? Uy, Suho. Si Suho ng EXO. And we got S-Scoop and Mingyu ng 17. We got Wendy ng Red Velvet. And of course, Bemon. So, check natin si Suho. To be announced pa si Suho eh. Wala pang eksaktong date ng comeback ni Suho. New album. Okay. Tagal naman mag-translate nito. Pero yun nga, mag-comeback daw to si Suho. Wala pang eksaktong date. So, itong Bemon, so, updates timeline. Bemon, we got Ay, hot sauce na ka-release lang nila. July 1. Wala pang ano eh. July... Ay, 2025 pala yan. So, ayun. Beijing Yong ng CIX. So, ito lang naman mga to be announced pa. Wala pang exactong date or whatsoever. Check natin yung August. Baka may makaligtaan tayo. Ako sino magka-comeback. Comeback schedule. Yan, August. Balik tayo sa August. So, nag-comeback. Napag-release na itong mga to. Idit at saka Sophie Powers. Okay. Okay na tayo dyan. Today is 15. Sino ang nag-comeback this August 15? Okay. Si Sosedon. So, 16 si Aso ng Very Good. 18? Ito yung magre-release ng tracklist ng Day 6. Kasabayan si Joy. Si Joy ng Red Velvet. We got si Beans. Kasama niya si G-Dragon. We got Kepler sa 19, Tuesday. Kasabayan nila ang Secret Number. Si Moonbyul. Si Juni. Si Arise. Boy Next Door. Okay. We got A13 Top. SKZ. 22 na yan. Pablo Vittar and N-Mix. We got Genie, okay. Mom pre-release lang to or I don't know. Ibe, AB6 Chanyol, Sunmi Sukhon, Sujin. Twice for mga tatlong Japanese release and isang comeback, Korean comeback. Girl Set. Wala na masabi dito. And this will be their first English album. First and last English album ng PK. Leon.
What?
First and last English album.
I will miss PK. I will miss PK.
First and last nila to bago sila mawala. Or mag-disband, sorry. Napaka-unfortunate naman. Alam mo yung maganda na yung discography, 'di ba? Tapos magdi-disband na lang ng ganun. Ayun.
Bro.
Yan lang naman. Sad life talaga. Pero hopefully, kung ano mong tahakin nila, best of luck, best of wishes sa kanila. And balik na tayo sa ating usual nating ginagawa. So, as requested na...
Ano lang yan kinda short, but still work.
Okay, we'll see kung tungkol saan tong merry-go-round. So, as requested by our dear friend Leon, this is each song called Merry-Go-Round.
If I get back together, turning tables like a merry-go-round. I can't live with or without you, no. Only call you when it's late, and you wanna make me stay. Cause lights off and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. While we tryna hit the brakes, it's gonna happen anyway. Hearts want what they want and want and want and want and want and want you. In the madness, it takes two and half of the problem I know. Said about you makes me lose control. Round the road we go. We fight, get back together, turning tables like a merry-go-round. I can't live with or without you now. I say that I'm better
Ay, grabe naman to.
without you, but I still
Wait lang.
doubts. I can't live with or without you now.
Okay, the drop. Relatable with the drop.
And I know it never fails. In the morning you
Time check muna tayo, 9:06 ng gabi. Oof. Sakit nito. Despite the fact na may drops tong ano na to, you can actually feel inside talaga na ito talaga yung this is the painful one. Yung tipong LQ bate, pero in the end, maghiwalay din pala kayo. Aray, sakit. LQ bate, pero in the end, magbe-break lang din kayo. I can tell by the lyrics naman. And music-wise, ito, may mga parang onting electronics pero you can feel it KJ talaga na sakit. Sige, ano yun, Dion?
Wala. Damn.
Hmm.
Damn.
Kala ko may thoughts ka pang
Kahit
sasabihin
short.
Short yet masakit. Anyways, that's pretty much about it sa ating short live react session natin. So, pero hindi tayo mag-e-end stream. Pero magsosolo muna ako dito while Leon is chatting over there sa Twitch chat. So, ayun nga Leon. So, Nikki, we're hoping for the comeback or at least content man lang. Check muna natin yung Nikki YouTube channel. Or actually, check na natin yung Instagram. Alam ko agad yung username nila. Ito yung tamang username nila. Ito si Bada. Birthday niya one day ago. Happy birthday pala sa ating dakilang leader name, dakilang keyboardist natin na si Bada. Yan. Play nga tayo ng mga Sunny songs. Play tayo ng Can You See My Heart? Ayan. Natuwa ako dito sa song na to. Nakakatawa tong song na to Katulad na sabi mo nung nag-live react tayo nun. Yan. Edit ko pa yung ni-live react natin nung Sunny last time. So, ayan. Yan, si Bada. Sheesh. Kaya bias, isa rin to sa bias ko. Pero ang primary ko talaga ito. Si Juyon. Ang ating makne.
What?
Si Juyon.
No. May kaunting announcement ng kaunti lang.
Ano yun?
Do you know Cat's Eye?
Yep, familiar. Echo na naman,
Actually,
nag-e-echo.
Cat's Eye.
Nag-e-echo, Bush.
Ano?
Nag-e-echo, par.
So dito,
Sige, ano yun?
mayroong kakulab ang Cat's Eye. Which is
Sino?
Jollibee.
What? Di, seryoso?
Punta ka sa punta ka sa Querchat. Sa music. Sa Quer. Music
Sa
channel.
other music ba? Ay, okay. Sige. Check ko.
Check right now. Like, what the fuck?
Wait lang. Naka-folder kasi itong ko eh. May mention mo ako?
Not yet. Wait.
Or baka may nag-ping sa akin? I mean, nag-ping. Uy, siya na mo pa naman sa... Okay. Right now. Akala ko si ano eh. No freaking way!
Jai.
Basahin ko nga. Wait lang, basahin ko nga saglit. Basahin ko muna. Katsai collab. The Jollibee Katsai merch capsule drops August 15 with 3 exclusive pieces that celebrate joy, fandom, and fearless self-expression. Designed to reflect the shared energy of two global icons, one ruling the charge, the other ruling the crave. The collection blends streetwear edge with pop-driven nostalgia. From the cosmic inspired shared dream, to be bold statement of the Chicken Joy Chicken Joy Gnarly. Chicken Joy Gnarly talaga. Chicken Joy Gnarly
Yes.
box tee and a versatile double drop denim tote. Each item is wearable expression of the joy and that happens when great food and great music collide. Available only on Complex for a limited time. Sana dito sa Pinas.
Collab.
Sana dito sa Pinas. What the heck? Thank you sa pag-ping. Maraming salamat. Grabe naman. That's unexpected. Tignan mo. Sa ating local idols, Bini. 'Di ba? Ngayon naman, Cat's Eye. Like, what the heck?
Mas better. For me, mas better Katsai than Bini. I don't know.
By the way, guys, disclaimer muna to those people who are watching. We're not hating any idol groups or any idol groups, girl groups, K-bands. We're just expressing our own opinions here. So if you got problem with that, then
True.
so I'm sorry. Me or maybe Liam will ban you right on the spot, okay? We're gonna destroy those bitches out there. Sorry for the word. Anyway, so yun nga, maganda nga na Cat's Eye ang Cat's Eye and Jollibee collab, which is great. Hopefully meron din dito sa Pinas yun, no? Kasi sa pinagtatrabaho ka, malapit lang yung Jollibee doon. Konting walking distance lang yun, di ba?
So,
Alright.
Jollibee.
Yep. Meron din McDo. Tapos sa pinagtatrabaho ko, may McDo, may Chowking, may din, Jollibee. Yan. Anyways, we got Joyon over here, as you can see. Oof. Sabi mo si Arnold, no? We got the Maknehan. Oy, speaking of Makne, di ba Makne si Arnold, di ba? We also the
Yes.
Makne. Si Joyon. Sheesh. Then, what do we got here? Si Bada. Tapos... Wait lang. Nasa sino ba to? Si Unsol? Vice mo?
Yeah.
Eto, panoorin. Eto si Unsol. Pina-perform nila yung Voice of Witches, pero drop solo. Tapos sino pa ba si Bada. Hanap tayo ng Bada na solo. Ito, nandito lang yun eh. Nagpo-post sila ng reels minsan eh. Ito, wait lang. Nasaan yung Ito. Ano ba na-live Starlight? Na-live ata natin yun kung di ako nagkakamali. Yan, Starlight.
별빛이 되는 너야
Magkakasundo sila ni Wonpil dito. Ay, hindi, si Od pala.
Until nga.
Si Od pala, sorry. Kasi since si Od eh. So, magkakasundo to dalawa to. Since ito.
Di ba? Sint din si ano? I think Sint pa rin. Si ano?
Si Od.
Considered.
Sina?
Until.
Since
Si
pa din
Wonpil.
yun. Since pa din si Wonpil. Kaso bihira lang gumamit ng since kapag ano, kapag days gone by, she smiled, meron din ano mga songs na since lang ginagamit niya. Most, ano pa ba, saan niya ginagamit yung since, for me,
Happy?
for me, yung side track na ano, The Book of Us Gravity, Days Gone By, alam mo naman yan. Tapos,
Happy?
Happy? Hindi niya ginagamitan ng synths yun. Ang ginagamitan niya lang ng synths, yung ano, She Smiled, ginagamitan ng synths yun. Tapos, ano pa, Letting Go, ginagamitan niya ng synths yun. Parang, ano ba to? Ano ba, organ? Parang organ yung ginagamit, organ synths yung gamit niya dun eh, pag Letting Go. Tingnan mo, kung papainggan mo yung ano, yung Letting Go, no?
Uy, Hajin.
Letting Go rebooted. Eto. Pakinggan mo maigi. Wait, off mo, mic muna ako. Dinig ba yung organ na tunog? Yan yung ginagamitan niya. Letting Go. Kasi, ang dami kasing possibilities na magagawa mo sa kapag synths gamit mo eh. Kasi, tulad nitong pinanood ko sa'yo kanina, ito si Bada. Ginawa ng synth solos yung ano, Starlight. Tapos, ayun. Then, ito. Ito, solo ni Bada sa Shadow Dance. Dapat ginagawa nila to sa mga concerts. No? Tingnan mo, nung ginagawa ng Day 6 sa concert, di ba? Nung nagsolo bawat isa. Una si Wonpil, remember yan? Remember yung solo ni Wonpil during ano the Gravity concert? Panoorin ulit natin yan. Ganda nun eh.
Oh shit.
Dahil 10th anniversary ng ano, ng Day 6, balikan natin yung mga concert moments na yan. Gravity? Hindi Gravity ng ano ng Triple S. Gravity event. Or this one, concert sa LA. Ito, panoorin natin. Ay, ba't nalipat dun? Sorry kung medyo blurry yung yung quality. Nasa kumukuha na ng yan eh. Oof. Yun lang. Sing Me yung niremix niya dito.
Wow.
Sing Me, okay. Si Jay. No, mamimiss natin si Jay dyan.
Jay.
Si Jay, no. Tapos You Shoot Me. OT04. Hindi. Day 6, Day 6. Alam ko may pinost sila na eh. Dito. Sa concert ba yan? Best part, hindi yan. Kemul. Monster to. What's this? Kunaji, Game Over to eh. Tapos, what's this? Should be ito. So, panoorin natin to. Isa should be part lang. Hintayin muna natin yung Shoot Me. Ito yung saan ba yan? Sa fan? Hindi. Forever yung concert. Ito yung synth solo. Or sa lead synth pa. Kinudot pa yung eh. Ayan, ito yung sa Shoot Me. Nagsolo si Youngkay at saka si dito eh. Si Songjin. Or si Youngkay muna bago si Songjin. Time check muna tayo, 9:25 ng gabi. No, 26 na pala ng gabi. Ganda rin ang transition nila from parang pataas tapos baba. Dito sa Shoot Me. The addict. The addict of Young. Ay, Young. One pill pala, sorry. So, malapit na tayo sa solo part ni Young Kay. Siya ni Songjin. Ito na. Ay, solo ni Dowon mo na pala. Young Kay. From jazzy vibes to rock. Then Songjin. Ay hindi, si Wompil muna. Then si Songjin. Ganda din. Kala ko tuloy si Yang kay Yang kay Songjin lang eh. Kasama pa si Wopel na mutang ko. Pero yun, pretty much. And ito yung mas nakakatawa moment. Alala mo pa ba to? During music show nila nung sa I'm Serious?
Oh, yes.
Balikan natin tong moment na to. Happy 10th anniversary. Wait lang ah. Balikan natin tong moment na to kung saan bumagsak yung keyboard ni ni Wompil. Nakakatawa to eh. We miss you, Jay. Boom! Nagulat si Wompil.
Pero naman,
Tawa lang si Wompil eh. Ay. Walang paki si Yankee eh. Walang paki si Yankee. Walang paki si Yankee sa eh. So, keyboard na bumagsak eh. Ito. Who's Brian, bro? Si Yankee. Ito, lagi kong pinapanood to. Balikan din natin to.
Who's Brian? This is Young K. Who is Brian? I am not. Well, good work. Young K. Who's Brian? Who is Brian? And no one calls me Brian. Yeah.
My days, y'all know what it is. Brian did it first, trying to steal my lines. You ain't, you were English, bro. You're Brian. Give up.
Savage pa si Jay dito dun eh, no? No, di yan. Savage pa eh. Isa pa nga.
Days, y'all know what it is. Brian did it first, trying to steal my lines. You ain't, you were English, bro. You're Brian. Give up.
You were English, bro. Tawa pa rin ako dito.
English Brian? Hi, my name's who's Brian?
Tatawa pa rin ako dito. Yung tingin ni Jay dito. Tingnan mo. Yung tingin ni Jay dito. Makatingin sa Jay.
This is Young K. I love you. That is my name, which I chose for Canada. but my stage name is Young K. But no one calls me that. No one.
Yeah, tama si Yankee. Ba't Brian tawag mo sa akin kung may stage name siyang Yankee, di ba? Nakakatawa lang.
Ever calls me that.
Oh, Young K.
Yeah,
Young
there
K.
we go. That's
What is in your bag? Doan. First side.
Jay.
Do it again. Do it again.
와 이거 이렇게 찍나 이 사람아 아나
뭐?
찬스가 더
Yung,
나 아까 왜 그랬어 누가 그랬어 아 영현이 형
ito pa. Ito mas nakakatawa moment. Baka naalala mo to. Best intro ni Dovun. Best intro ni Dovun. Pakinggan mo. One of the best intro ni Dovun. Anay mo.
Hello my name's 윤도 I like drum I love drum yes
좋았어.
I'm drum
Naalala mo yan? Naalala mo yan? Naalala mo yan?
Parang si ano lang. Parang si Jiwo lang.
Sino?
Nasanay lang ganun na yun.
Sino?
Si Jiwo.
Jiw?
Jiwo. Yes. Jiwo ng NMIX.
Ah, Jiw na NMIX. Okay. Tapos ano pa? Check natin. Ano pa yung mga pa? Ito, balikan natin to. Mga iconic moments ng Day 6.
Why is your phone pink?
Rose gold, huh?
Ah, kasama dito si, format therapy.
You can do it, friends.
Ay, yan yung isa sa mga redeemables ko.
Now, you've released a new song. A new
Yes.
song called Dance Dance. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about it, please. I'm actually watching the music video.
Oh,
right
Sam,
now.
Sam,
No.
Sam, it's Dance Dance.
It's Dance Dance.
No, it's Dance Dance.
Doon.
Sam, someone tell him it's Dance Dance.
Torn. Is it Dance Dance or Dance Dance?
it's dance.
Hey!
That's it.
Chicken! Wow! You're delicious? I'm delicious!
Yan, isa sa mga redeemables ko yan.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Don?
I'm gonna fly high like them
Like who?
got 7
What are you
Do-
doing?
Dopil.
I'm gonna fly like them
Like who?
got 7
Seven. Like who?
와우
Couple church, yeah, we're couple. Jaehyung Park-hyen.
Let's be real, guys. Jaehyung Park-hyen is a well thought out, well formulated name. See, because you take 3 parts of my name, Jaehyung Park, and then you add Ian at the end, which is like half of Brian's name. So it's like, alright, bye!
Sira ulo talaga to si Jade.
Do you like Jay? Can we skip to the next question? Okay.
Ooh. Ooh.
Hello my name is 윤도
Yan.
I like drum I love drum yes
좋았어.
I'm drum
시작! 구구단을 매자! 구구단을 매자! 911! 911!
Wow. 9 times 1. Kuil. Nagpanic si Songjin.
여보세요! 부인이죠?
911. Round 9 times 929 tapos naging 911.
여보세요! 시작! 구구단을 매자! 구구단을 매자! 911! 911! 911! 여보세요! 부인이죠?
911.
If you look at Sungjin, he looks exactly like Bob the Builder. First, they start with nose.
Yan. Yan. Exactly. Tama ka dyan, Jay. Si Bob. Kaya nga, tawag sa kanya Bob Sungjin eh.
Just imagine a helmet on top of the head and you got Bob the Builder. And that is the reason why. Thank you.
Ay, oo nga, no. Alam mo yung nag-cosplay siya ng Bob the Builder during music show? Diyan.
Yeah, I think.
I think sa Sweet Chaos yun eh. Kung di ako nagkamali. Sweet Chaos ata yung pinerform nila. Ito, alam mo na yan. Alam mo na yan. Skip na natin yan.
Why? I don't know.
6? 아, 오케이. 할게요. D. 데이 끝났어요?
Si Jay yan! Woohoo!
Meanwhile.
Ay, ito sa vlog ni Jay! Isa pa nga. Napapanood mo vlogs ni Jay, no? No, di yan.
Ay.
Nalala mo pa to.
Meanwhile.
Doon, no?
Wow.
Oof.
자, 여기 씨 넘어가겠습니다.
Yan. Boy, Diyan. Ito yung magiging alarm clock mo.
떼레레레. 아, 떼레레레. 아, 좋아요.
Yan ang magiging alarm clock mo.
Think about what is most important to you, and what is most important to you right now. Is it family? Is it education? Is it your job? Is it your love life? Whatever it is, just remember that right now, none of that is important. I am the most important thing in your life.
What a riz, Jay! What a riz, Jay! Ito yung uso pa yung B-Live nun eh. Uso pa yung B-Live bago Weavers. Bago ma-shutdown yung B-Live.
My stage name is Young K, but no one calls me that.
Yan.
No one ever calls me that.
Oh, Young K.
Yeah,
Young
there we
K.
go.
It's awkward. Brian's like, it rolls off the tongue. It's really smooth.
Yeah.
It just feels right
Yeah.
in my heart.
Who's Brian? This is Young K. Who is Brian?
Yeah.
I am not. Well, good work. Young K.
Boom, basag! Nakabasag ng baso si Dawon. Nakabasag si Dawon.
Guys, welcome to English 101 with Jay and Young K and Bob. Bob. Okay, so our first word for today is apple. Can you guys repeat after me? Apple.
Apple!
Second word of the day is boat.
Jay!
Good job!
Third word, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
student.
You smell good. Sorry.
My members left me. What do you feel about that?
Members left you.
So we're supposed to go somewhere together to some bridge to record like sources for our next song, and they just left me.
You might be the loser of the group, so they don't want to be caught, in the public with the loser.
Ito yung tinawagan niya si Wusong. Alam mo yan? Di yan?
Pusong? Ah, okay. Yes.
Tinawagan niya si Wusong. Sabi, chinero niya. Oh, iniwan ako nung days, mga members sa day 6. Anong naramdaman mo? Sabi, ikaw lang ata yung loser na member sa group. Sira ulo din yan eh.
Okay, that was rubbish. So we're gonna move on to someone else.
There is no answer. Please
Oof.
try to call.
I have no friends.
Oof. Okay lang yan, Jay. Na. Naging Lion King. Naging Lion King na. Ba't may
What is in your bag?
alam na to.
First side. Do it again. Do it.
They are coward. Coward.
Yeah.
Coward.
Yeah.
Coward.
Yeah.
Coward.
Yeah. We just got off the roller coaster. Perfectly normal, super fun. Nobody cried.
아, 도훈이 진짜 울었어.
Don't.
아,
I heard you cried.
아.
Honest, ang honest niya. Jay yung part niyan. Let's go.
어디로 가? 가자.
Oh.
That's right. We are Day6 and we and you and okay the dishes and I like the misses and the missing in the this okay.
What are we doing today?
We recording the natural sound, bugs, the river, and tree. Yes, that's right.
Bro. Mga lasinggero sa ano. Tapos ito na naging whip template mo. Dali yan na. Mga lasinggero sa daan. Ay, mali. Ah. Tatawa pa rin ako, shit eh. Time check tayo, part 2 to 10 na tayo. What the? Sa K-Rush to. I remember this.
So we just got here.
Oy, si PD name. Si ano, form of therapy.
It's too far for me. I'm a K-pop star. You picked Young K.
Yeah.
Not One Pin.
No.
Not Jay.
No.
Can you just hold this real quick?
Young K.
Also Jay. Okay, so they picked Jay. Just point and keep him there. So you mean Jay?
Yeah, sure.
There you go, have it.
I have to be honest right here.
Nalala ko pa tong ano na to, video na to eh. Na, ano to? Wait lang.
I have to pick that guy.
So y'all pick Bob the Builder. Who's the best looking member?
One pill.
Galit na galit eh. Galit na galit si Jay. Kalma, Jay.
That's the end of the interview. Thank you.
Gaga talaga si Jay. Nibon lang yung skateboard na puti. Anyway, Ano, binalikan lang talaga natin yung mga funny moments talaga ni ng day 6 dahil magta 10th year anniversary na sila. Whew, it's been a decade na. It's been a decade na, no? Since nung congratulations era and stuff. Ayun, meron na pala. Anyway, I think we're gonna end it right here, no? Mag-update pa sa Kuya Dion nyo ng Bubble. Oh, by the way, speaking of Bubble, mag-update ang Kuya Dion nyo sa sa Discord if you want Bubble updates sa Discord or Bubble updates from your favorite groups and mix any JYP day 6 today and mix twice need you Joyuri, sino pa ba? Yena, Cheyena, IZ1, sino pa ba? Stacy, Jihan, sino pa ba? Stray Kids, If You're a Stay, and kung sino-sino pang sa updates. Ako naman, ang usually in-update ko, Triple S, mostly Triple S, Stacy, UWER. Yun lang naman. So, and Wendy as well. Promise 9 din. So, and i-announce ko na in advance na hindi muna ako mag-a-update ng from for tonight. So, babawi na lang. I'm gonna make up from and Weaver's updates if meron man bukas. So, I'm gonna announce it in advance na. So, ayun. Any announcement pa ba, Dion, if meron ka man? Ha?
I mean, makapag-update, but, yeah.
Update regarding Bubble or whatsoever? Anything?
Yes, makapag-update na.
Ay, yun lang?
Yes. Yun lang naman. Wala naman ako
Alright, so yun. So, as always nga, nandiyan yung Discord server natin. Nandito kami para mag-update na siguro na Bubble, from Weavers, mostly from at Weavers sa akin magagaling yon. Pero meanwhile to si Leon, siya, mostly Bubble siya. More specifically for JYP artists. So yun lang naman. So thank you guys so much for tuning in sa ating stream. And ayun nga, until next week ulit tayo, Leon. So tomorrow kasi may errands akong gagawin. So wala muna tayong stream for the next couple of days. Or syempre mag-a-announce pa din na if ever man na. So thank you guys for tuning in, and as always, keep smiling, stay positive, stay safe, and be productive with a burning passion. Godspeed sa aking stream, and Godspeed kay Dion na i-join sa atin ngayon. And yun nga, sama ko si Red Dion 23, mga kaibigan. Until next week guys. Dion, pwede ka nang mag-disconnect. Salamat.
Thank you.
Ayun nga, like I'm saying, keep smiling, stay positive, stay safe, and be productive sa inyo lahat. And happy weekend sa inyo lahat dahil Friday ngayon. Hope you guys na i-enjoy nyo yung pahinga nyo. You deserve the rest na kailangan nyo. Mapagaling kayo sa trabaho or galing man kayo sa school or whatever. Basta don't force yourself sa trabaho or sa pag-aaral nyo. So, yun lang. Kailangan magpahinga kayo mentally, physically, and of course, lagi yung isasama si Lord sa mga gagawin nyo sa buhay. God will provide, and yun nga, God will provide sa mga pangangailangan nyo. Yun lang naman. Until next week, it's your boy, Rasotoki, your cutie bunny camera rider passing by. Adios sa inyo lahat. And, anyong.